Joining us right now to talk about that exact thing is Democratic Congressman Adam Smith of Washington. He's the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. It's good to see you again, Congressman. What does this agreement with NATO to buy U.S. weapons and send them to Ukraine, what does it mean in your view?
Well, the biggest thing is the significant shift that you're seeing from President Trump. I mean, the details are obviously important. How many weapons are we going to get to Ukraine? What does a sanctions package look like? But when you think about where President Trump, Vice President Vance, and others were at the start of his administration, criticizing Zelensky, in some cases blaming Ukraine for the war, putting no pressure on Putin. This is a major shift that hopefully will put us in a better position. Well, it will put us in a better position to get to peace, to put pressure on Putin to stop this war. Now, President Trump had it wrong from the start, blaming Zelensky for not getting to a peace deal, but it sounds like belatedly the Trump administration is moving in the right direction. The details will matter as they play out this week and beyond, but the shift in tone is a huge positive step for Ukraine.
If it is only defensive weapons that Trump is open to selling, is that enough to tip the scales and force Russia to the table?
Probably not. But again, it's a step in the right direction. And keep in mind, Congress approved, I forget exactly how much money, tens of billions of dollars for Ukraine in a variety of different weapons packages. That money is still there. So the other big thing that we have to press the Trump administration on is, will they follow, the law, basically congressional intent and what the previous president signed into law, and get Ukraine the weapons that we have already approved. If President Trump's position is we're just going to sell them stuff and dump all of the burden onto our European allies, that is not as strong a position as we are going to need. And remember, this is about getting to peace in Ukraine, but it's also about blunting Putin's ambitions that threaten the U.S., Europe, threaten global peace. Putin wants to take back a lot of territory. Remember, he thought that the collapse of the Soviet Union was the greatest tragedy of the 20th century. We need to show that the alliance, 53-nation strong alliance that President Biden put together, is going to hold together and stop Putin from those ambitions and force him to the peace table. So if we're just selling weapons to Europe, if there's no sanctions package, if President Trump is saying we're not going to do anything more on our end, that is probably not enough. But again, at least there's a change in tone that recognizes that Putin is the one driving this war.
That's why, with all of that at stake, as you laid out, that's why I continue to wonder, what is the holdup? Is there any good reason that the president has not yet he's not a yes yet on the secondary sanctions bill that Graham and Blumenthal, I mean, they have been pushing for months. They have more co-sponsors than I've seen co-sponsor anything in quite a long time, because nothing is bipartisan anymore. And Graham is calling it a sledgehammer as he's trying to make his appeal publicly on the Sunday shows. Is there any good reason that the president shouldn't be at yes yet?
Well, do understand that the Trump MAGA world is a very strange place, as we are learning from the Epstein situation, to be sure. But on the subject of Ukraine and Russia, a lot of the same people who are buying into this ridiculous conspiracy theory that there's some sort of system of pedophiles, primarily in the Democratic Party, running the country that must be fought, a lot of those same people are in favor of Putin and Russia. This is what Liz Cheney referred to as the Putin wing of the Republican Party, that sees Putin as a fellow white Christian nationalist battling wokeism. And that sect, if you will, is within the MAGA movement. Now, the Republican Party itself doesn't sign up for most of that, but that tension exists within Trump's base. And it's hard to imagine it's hard to think exactly what Trump thinks about it, but he's managing that MAGA movement. Now, hopefully the momentum is on the side of people like Lindsey Graham, many other Republicans who recognize Putin and Russia for the threat it is. But Trump himself is managing a very strange coalition, as we have seen.
First and foremost, let's see what the announcement is this morning. Looking forward to get your reaction on next steps after that. Congressman, thank you very much.